The stadium breathes in silence, a dense, almost palpable quiet that precedes the climax. Every gaze, every fiber of attention, is irrevocably fixed on the young figure who rises, serene in expression, yet with eyes that burn, an inner fire transcending outward calm. It is as if she sees ahead not merely a cold, calculated track, but a destiny etched in the stars, a stage where the impossible bends to her will. Fatima Diame, with an almost ritualistic precision, adjusts her feet on the takeoff mark, feeling the rough texture beneath her spikes, a primal connection to the ground that will soon be abandoned. She takes a deep breath, and in that simple act, the air fills with an electrifying tension. She feels her heart pound, not just her own, but the collective rhythm of the crowd, a symphony of expectations that propels her. And in an instant, which stretches and contracts like time in a dream, she leaps. It is a flight, an ascent that defies gravity, as if the very air opens, reverently, to receive her in its invisible embrace. The crowd, in a silent unison, holds its breath, because in that suspended moment, everyone knows it is not just a jump, it is a visceral affirmation, a mute cry of triumph. It is irrefutable proof that no origin, however humble, no border, however insurmountable it may seem, and no obstacle, however colossal it presents itself, can contain the indomitable soul of a determined woman. It is the audacious flight of a woman born to dismantle the impossible, to rewrite the rules of what can be achieved. Fatima Diame, a name that today resonates with the force of thunder in the grandest stadiums and in the Olympic broadcasts that captivate the world, came into being on September 22, 1996, in the vibrant and sun-drenched city of Valencia, Spain. Daughter of Senegalese parents, she grew up weaving her existence between two powerful identities, two cultures that intertwined within her being: the African heritage, rich in ancestral stories and traditions, and the European environment that welcomed her, modern and dynamic. From her earliest breaths, she understood with precocious wisdom the intrinsic value of effort, the beauty of conquest forged with her own hands. In a modest neighborhood, where sweat and dignity were the common currency, surrounded by working families who shaped their destiny with each dawn, Fatima learned that nothing would be handed to her on a silver platter, but that everything, absolutely everything, could be conquered with the force of will. Even as a child, it was impossible not to notice her effervescent energy, an almost magical blend of lightness and intensity, of contagious joy and a focus that bordered on obsession. She ran through the streets of Valencia as if the ground were not an obstacle to be overcome, but a vital impulse, a propelling spring for her restless spirit. The way she moved, the almost surgical precision of each gesture, the latent strength radiating from her small body, the natural technique that seemed to spring from her essence. There was raw, untouched talent there, waiting to be honed. It wasn't long before she was directed to the prestigious Valencia Athletics Club, and what began as childish curiosity, an unpretentious adventure, quickly transformed into an ardent vocation, an irresistible calling. Fatima discovered athletics as one discovers a new language, a universal language that spoke directly to her soul. The language of the body in motion, of unwavering persistence, of daily overcoming. Each jump was an intimate conversation between her and gravity, a silent dialogue where she dictated the rules. And with every exhausting training session, she silently told the world, with the force of 1,000 voices, "I belong here. This is my realm." She learned early that elite sport is not just made of innate talent, of a genetic predisposition. It is made of iron discipline, of pain that transforms into strength, of repetition that sculpts perfection. But there was something in Fatima that went beyond physical strength, something deeper, more ethereal, a silent faith, an unwavering certainty that she was building a path, a legacy that would open doors, that would illuminate the journey for other black girls in Spain. Because more than jumping for personal glory, Fatima wanted to represent. She wanted to be a beacon of hope, a symbol that dreams are universal. But there was also a natural, almost poetic beauty in the way she moved, the intrinsic elegance of an athlete who masters every gesture, every impulse, every landing, transforming effort into art. In 2013 came the first major milestone, a prelude to what was to come, the bronze medal at the European U23 Championship. The Spanish public, eager for new idols, saw a new name emerge in athletics, a name that promised to redefine the sport. And that name was not just an empty promise. It was the harbinger of a story that would be told for generations. The newspapers, in ecstasy, began calling her the Jewel of Valencia, a treasure to be polished. But she, with the wisdom of the great, knew that the path to the top would be long, arduous, and full of challenges. Spain, a country with a rich tradition in various sports, still did not have a black female star in athletics with such prominence, with such projection. Fatima was breaking invisible barriers, redefining paradigms, and she did so with disarming naturalness, with a serene smile that hid an iron determination, and eyes focused, unshakable, on the opening horizon. The triple jump in particular demands brutal impact, impeccable technique, and millimeter-perfect coordination. Any imbalance, however slight, can cost months of recovery, pain, and uncertainty. And there were moments when pain seemed to win, when doubt whispered in her ears. But it is precisely in moments of weakness, in those abysses of despair, that great athletes, true champions, are recognized. Fatima never gave up, never bowed. Each rehabilitation was treated as mental training, an internal battle to be won. Each return, an invisible but deeply felt victory. She said in interviews, her voice choked with emotion but firm in conviction, "The important thing is not the jump the public sees. It's everything that happens before, behind the scenes, in the solitude of training, in overcoming pain." In the parade of delegations, there she was, young, vibrant, with a determined gaze that promised the future, carrying on her back not only the vibrant colors of the flag, but the symbolic weight of an entire generation of immigrants who saw in her living proof that they belonged, that they were an integral part of that country. In Rio, Fatima did not reach the podium, did not achieve immediate Olympic glory. But those who watched the qualifications, who had the opportunity to witness her performance, realized that her brilliance was just beginning, that it was merely the dawn of a legendary career. Her undeniable talent, refined technique, and composure under pressure announced a long-distance athlete, a force to be reckoned with. She changed her training methods, incorporated modern biomechanics techniques, worked with sports psychologists to strengthen her mind, nutritionists to optimize her body, and performance specialists to refine every movement. Fatima began to understand athletics not just as a display of brute force, but as a complex science, an art that demanded precision and knowledge. Every training session was rigorously measured, every jump analyzed in minute detail. And it was during this period of intense dedication that she transformed. From a promise, she became a reference, a role model to be followed. In 2018, she won medals at the Mediterranean Games, elevating her name among Europe's greatest athletes, etching it into the history of the sport. Her image, a black woman, elegant, confident, and powerful, became a symbol of representation in Spain, a beacon for many. But above all, she remained true to her origins, to her essence. She always remembered her family, her parents, Senegal, the deep roots that kept her firm, anchored in reality. In interviews, she said with a voice full of emotion, "My strength comes from knowing who I am and where I came from. It is my history that drives me." Her mind remained projected on a single goal, a beacon guiding her, the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, held in 2021. When she finally stepped onto the sacred track, she carried with her the weight of years of hard work, countless sacrifices, and the vibrant hope of millions of fans who believed in her. Her movements were a controlled dance, a meticulous choreography between explosive power and ethereal lightness. Every jump seemed guided by a greater purpose, an intention that transcended mere competition. And although the podium did not come, she left the games with something perhaps greater, something deeper, international respect, the admiration of her peers and the media. Sports journalists worldwide highlighted her consistent technique, her unwavering composure under the overwhelming pressure of the Olympic spotlight. "Diame is pure art in motion," wrote a Spanish commentator, capturing the essence of her performance. She knew that great victories, the achievements that echo through history, are born from the sum of overcome defeats, of obstacles surmounted. Fatima Diame's gaze, after Tokyo, was no longer just that of an athlete seeking medals. It was that of a woman aware of her mission, of her greater purpose: to inspire, to open paths, to prove that talent and hard work have no color, no borders, no limits. After Tokyo, Fatima Diame's name began to circulate differently, with a weight and resonance it had not previously possessed. She was no longer just the promising young athlete of the Spanish team. She was a reference for consistency, unwavering focus, and exemplary professionalism. In the following months, she plunged into exhaustive preparation, a regimen that demanded the utmost from her body and mind. The routine was a relentless cycle of training, meticulous video analysis, precise technique adjustments, and mental strengthening that made her unbreakable. Jumps were measured to the millimeter, every detail scrutinized, and every error was reviewed, dissected, until it completely disappeared. It was during this period of intense dedication that she began working with a multidisciplinary technical team, a group of specialists who helped her refine every detail of the movement. The perfect stride, the explosive impulse, the absolute control of the body in the air, and the soft, almost ethereal landing. Fatima returned to international meetings with impressive regularity, a constant presence on the podium, and participated in the European Championships in Munich. She did not win gold, the ultimate glory, but she left with a new personal best and, above all, with the indescribable feeling of having reached full maturity as an athlete, the plenitude of her potential. The Spanish sports press in unison declared, "Diame is today the image of modern athletics, refined technique, overwhelming power, and unwavering serenity." In interviews, Fatima recalled her origins, her story with palpable emotion. "My parents came to Spain looking for opportunities, for a better future. Every time I step onto the track, it's as if I'm thanking them for that sacrifice, for that courage." These words resonated deeply with an entire generation of young athletes of immigrant descent, who saw in her an example of belonging, of overcoming, of the possibility of dreaming and achieving. The year 2023 brought new challenges, new mountains to climb, and also new achievements that solidified her position. Fatima participated in the World Athletics Championships and unequivocally established herself among Europe's best jumpers. Even when the podium did not come, the respect of her adversaries was visible, palpable, a silent tribute to her greatness. Her impeccable professionalism, the way she approached every competition, every training session, became a reference, a standard to be followed. Commentators said that Fatima was one of those athletes who made the public pay attention to the silence before the jump, a magical instant when everything is suspended, when time seems to stop. Behind the scenes, she began collaborating with social projects related to sport and the integration of young immigrants, extending her influence beyond the tracks. In Valencia, she visited schools, spoke about discipline, motivation, and the importance of believing in oneself, of pursuing dreams. She didn't need long speeches, elaborate words. Her presence, her confident smile, and the living example that talent always finds a way when there is persistence, when there is faith, were enough. In 2024, an Olympic year, the focus returned to the Games, now in Paris, the city of light. Fatima entered that season with rare experience and maturity, a wisdom that only great athletes possess. She trained with intensity, with controlled ferocity, but also with wisdom, with the intelligence of one who knows her body, its limitations, its recovery rhythms. At the training center, her colleagues said she was a clock, methodical, precise, and unshakable, a perfect machine. On the Paris track, she demonstrated this once again, with a performance that mesmerized everyone. The crowd vibrated with every jump. Reporters noted her proud posture, her concentrated gaze, and the perfect balance between strength and lightness, a dance of power and delicacy. Fatima left the Paris Games as one of the most respected athletes of her generation, a legend in the making. She became the face of campaigns celebrating diversity, merit, and overcoming. Her image, always serene and determined, came to symbolize the future of European athletics, a future of inclusion and excellence. At 29, she is at her physical and mental peak, a force of nature in her plenitude. She is a precocious veteran who inspires younger athletes, pushing them to dream higher, and challenges more experienced ones, showing that excellence is an endless path. Her daily training begins early, even before the sun rises. The silence of the stadium is broken only by the rhythmic sound of her footsteps, her controlled breathing, the cadence of a body in pursuit of perfection. She speaks little, her words are few and precise, but every gesture communicates overwhelming intensity, a burning passion. Coaches say her secret is not innate talent, it is patience. The patience to repeat the same movement 1,000 times, to polish every detail until the body executes it as if it were natural, as if it were an extension of her soul. But she faces this with a disarming serenity, with the wisdom of one who understands the cycle of life. Today, she competes because she loves what she does, because passion drives her, not just to prove something to herself or others. And that is what makes her great, what elevates her above the crowd. The ability to continue seeking perfection in a sport where millimeters decide everything, where the difference between glory and oblivion is infinitesimal. When she positions herself for a jump, there is a particular energy in the air, a vibration that announces the spectacle. The public recognizes the ritual, the dance that precedes the flight. Her gaze fixed on the horizon, the deep breath that fills her lungs with air and determination, the slight sway before the run-up that will propel her. Then, absolute silence, a vacuum of sound that amplifies the anticipation, and, in an instant, the flight. Fatima's body, suspended in the air, seems to defy logic, physics, gravity itself. It is refined technique, it is brute force, it is art in its purest form. When she lands, she rises with that brief, almost imperceptible smile of one who knows she gave her all, who left her soul on the track. It is the story of a girl who ran barefoot through the streets of Valencia and became a global inspiration, a beacon for the world. A woman who carries within her 2 cultures, 2 continents, 2 histories, and a single purpose: to show that the limit is always a starting point, that the impossible is merely a word, a barrier to be overcome. And so, as the sun sets over another exhaustive training session, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, she prepares for the next jump, perhaps the most important of her career, the one that will take her to new heights. Because every time she runs for all those who believe they can go further, who can achieve the unattainable. And every time she jumps, she carries with her the dream of a world that learns through her that the impossible is only what we haven't tried yet, a frontier to be broken. Another video is appearing on the screen right now. Click and continue this journey of overcoming, dreams, and inspiration. Until the next jump, until the next emotion.